I call this meeting to order.
Is someone else?
Are we good now?
Okay.
Okay, we'll try again. I call this meeting to order at 6:02 PM. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please? Director Bernworth? Here. Director Goodsell? Here. Director Madart? Director Proctor?
Here.
Director Burker? Here. Director Valdez?
Here.
Director Garcia?
Here.
Thank you. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we move on to consider approval of the agenda. In the case of an emergency, items may be added to the agenda by a majority vote of the Board of Directors. An emergency is defined as a work stoppage, a crippling disaster, or other activity that severely imperils public health, safety, or both. Items on the agenda may be taken out of sequential order as their priority is determined by the Board of Directors. The board may take action on any items appearing on the agenda. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Item with regard to item 9E with regard to policy and procedure, executive leadership parlance program. I had some questions of Chris, and since he's the author of this policy and he's not here, so I would like to remove it from the calendar.
Okay. Do we have any other adjustments?
I'd rather ask.
Should I have a motion? Is that a motion?
So that's to pull
To
that
pull item. Okay. I have a motion by Proctor and a second by Burker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now move on to item 6. Public comments. At this time, the board will hear comments on any agenda item. If any person wishes to be heard, they shall stand, address the president, identify themselves, and state the subject for comment. Time limit for each speaker is 3 minutes individually per item to address the board. Individuals who wish to speak on multiple items will be allowed 4 minutes in total. A total of 15 minutes shall be allocated for each item for all members of the public. The board may find it necessary to limit the total time allowable for all public items not appearing on the agenda to any one meeting to 1 hour. Do you have anybody here for public comment? Seeing none. I'll move on to board reports on meetings attended by directors. Does anybody on the board have any updates on any meetings or events that they attended? Okay, seeing none. Move on to, or I guess, yeah, I attended the MEC meeting. And the minutes and everything that was discussed is in the agenda packet later in this for approval. Director Burker attended as well. And then report by merger strategic planning ad hoc committee.
Sure. The strategic planning ad hoc committee has had 2 meetings since the last board meeting. One internally to discuss progress with UCSD, and a second one with the larger team, including Pablo and UCSD folks, to talk about continued progress in the strategic planning process. We do think that, we will be ready for a more robust and larger presentation for the full board in the next month or so. So we're still working through some of those items, but we've got VRG meeting, as far as I understand, weekly with ECRMC folks to finalize the financial models.
Perfect. Does anybody want to add anything on the committee? Now we'll move on to consent calendar. Any member of the board may request that items for the consent calendar be removed for discussions. Items so removed shall be acted upon separately, immediately following approval of items remaining on the consent calendar. Do you have a motion?
It's so moved.
Also.
I have a motion by Berker and a second by Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now move on to item 9, items for discussion and or board action. We'll start with item A, Fourth Amendment to Professional Services Agreement between Imperial Valley Healthcare District and Berkeley Research Group LLP for financial strategist services.
Sure, I'll take this one. This is the next installation of amendments to raise the cap for the BRG Financial Strategist Services. It was brought to the attention of the strategic planning ad hoc that we were bumping up against their last cap with this next phase of continued sort of financial modeling assumptions. And this work that's being done to achieve what we will eventually bring back to the full public and the full board as a presentation on financial projections and financial modeling for the combined hospital system. We just continue to bump up against the cap until every couple months this cap needs to be raised. The version of the agreement, I want to bring it to your attention because the version of the agreement that's in this agenda packet, I talked to, I believe, the board chair, and I talked to the CEO about what it should look like, because the past couple amendments just kind of increase the cap. And so there was a discussion about giving alternatives, and it's absolutely at your discretion what to do, which is increase the cap again, or remove the cap and put in something like a notice requirement if the monthly amount is going to exceed X amount so that you're aware of how much BRG is spending and not having to bring it back for continued increases in the cap. But the scope of services isn't changing because they're going to continue providing the services that are provided by the second amendment, which was that financial modeling services. You might recall the first sort of scope was to get us to the ATA, which they did. And then this next round is to get us to the funding mechanism, essentially. But I'm happy to answer any questions. And you know, we can structure this however you feel comfortable. I don't know if anyone has an opinion about it one way or another.
We don't have any comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
So if there is going to be a motion, yeah,
Yeah.
We wanna do,
Which
we
option?
wanna eliminate the cap or keep the cap and just
Yeah, that,
to increase it by another 250,000.
yeah, that would be in the motion.
right, okay, right.
I mean, I think just remove it or
Do you have a, like, what the notice would be as
So,
far as, I mean, I don't know, me personally, I'm not in favor of removing the cap. I mean, it doesn't seem like we're having to approve it every month,
right,
so I guess. But I'm only one of the rest of you, so.
it's up to you.
Can we discuss it?
yeah,
I think I'm in favor of the cap as well, just they should come back to us, to the public, with all of that.
You can keep it as long as you want, because if there's a termination provision, which allows us to terminate any time. I think there's a pretty minimal, maybe 10 days notice or something. The idea with the second amendment was to take us past the ATA stage. So the first stage was sort of figure out what the deal should look like in terms of the asset transfer agreement. Money, how much should we ask for, what, and just advising really the board and the committee about what the financial outlook looked like between DCRMC, acquiring the hospital, et cetera. So then post ATA, the idea is getting into the financial modeling for the merged hospital system so that essentially so that we can provide Preston Hollow with a financial projection that makes them comfortable enough but they get the consent, that's necessarily under the ATA. It's one of the deal points in both the LOI that we initially executed and the asset transfer agreement, a condition of closing is Preston Hollow's consent. And Preston Hollow has told us they would like, they were the first ones to sort of recommend BRG and I think one other company as like, you need a financial strategist to make sure you are accurately or whatever independently projecting a merged hospital system that's going to survive. And so this is like that second phase of that, which is helping to model what the financial outlook can look like in terms of the work streams and service lines and that sort of stuff after the two hospitals are together, and help us get to a funding mechanism that this board will feel comfortable recommending to the public for a vote. So I see it ending when we have a funding mechanism. But there's maybe even, I don't know, I will defer to Pablo on the value of BRG post-merger.
So,
I don't know.
can I make a suggestion, recommendation that we outline the deliverables for this round of funding, that we hold everybody accountable for what they have to produce? Yeah,
I agree with Pablo.
Sure.
and we could ask them to produce a invoice when they submit for their payment of what they have accomplished, so that we have a tracking mechanism, whether they're on track or not.
Yeah, and the invoices are being sent according to the PSA, and I do think they have. I don't review them, I don't approve them or anything, so, but I do believe they have line item entries that I believe Chris reviews to track what they've been doing so far. So those are available for the board's review if you'd like to see them. But if we want to add as the deliverable for this next scope, what do you want the deliverable to be? The model, the finished model? That'd be a good one.
Yeah, with some of the assumptions that they're going into the model, so that everybody is aware what's in the model and what's not,
Yeah.
and the financial projections for the district. So that later on, we could validate whether we're on track or not. Or if anything changes, we will know that there was a change in revenue based on things that happened that were out of the control of the model.
And I can work with, if you'd like, I can work with Haywood to come up with this, the language that would make sense for this scope, since it's a little bit outside my wheelhouse in terms of what the words should be about. I just think financial model with assumptions, financial projections, completed model. I had heard at some point, BRG would not just produce the model, but like walk folks through how to use it, right? So that
It's ours
it's
forever.
ours, yeah, forever. But I don't know what that looks like in terms of an SOW that we would attach to this Fourth Amendment, but we could definitely do that.
I can help with that.
Great,
Perfect.
great.
So do we have a motion or any other questions?
Yeah, you have to pin it.
Just push it
Click it
forward.
forward.
Okay. So I would move to approve the increase cap to another 250,000, an additional 250,000 right? But also request that we have an addition of the scope of work for the new work that's being done.
Right. with direction to council to work with
Yes.
Pablo
Yeah.
regarding the deliverables.
Yes.
Great.
I second.
I have a motion by Goodsell and a second by Burger. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
And just for clarity for the minutes, Brenda, it's not just, approval of the new cap, it's approval of the fourth amendment to the PSA with the cap option, payment cap option.
Perfect. Now we move on to item B, discussion and appointment of IVHD board treasurer position. Donald Medart had sent in a letter to resign as his position of treasurer. So we have to have a new treasurer. I would like to nominate James Garcia as treasurer. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts.
I think James is doing a great job.
Perfect.
We should make a motion and have a vote.
So I'll make a motion to appoint.
Just to clarify that, that means I worked with our financial officer. The one you asked about the question.
Perfect. I would like to appoint motion to appoint James Garcia as IVHD board treasurer.
I'll second. That's good.
I have a motion I made a Burnworth and a second by Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, Treasurer Garcia.
We're gonna have to fill out a form,
Yeah,
so. But I don't think Carly has had a chance to get signed by our fire treasurer yet. Oh, good.
perfect.
I think we're okay, but all I can do.
Perfect. So that leads us right into item C, discussion and appointment of IVHD standing committees. I will just tell everybody this is a whole lot harder than I anticipated it. But how the committees I've set out for finance and budget, I would make James as our new treasurer on there. And then I have Enola and Laura. And I have these written down, Brenda, so. And then for hospital operations and integration, I have myself, Proctor, and Laura. For governance, I have Laura, Proctor, and James. For quality and audit, I have and quality audit, compliance and ethics, I have Enola, Valdez, and Proctor. And so, and then for advocacy and outreach, myself, Valdez, and I can send it out to everybody. Yes.
Do we need a motion to
Yeah.
approve all of that?
Yes, you can approve, there could be discussion, but if you want to move the slate and approve the slate so that you do it all at once, you can do that. If you want to have individual discussion about a particular standing committee, you can pull the standing committee and talk about it. You can do it one by one. But if everyone's okay with the slate that was presented, then we would need a motion to approve the slate as presented and a second and a vote.
I have a motion by Burker and a second by Valdez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Now move on to item D, medical staff report with Dr. Indenata.
President and the board members, I'm here to present the recommendations of the MEC meeting of the Pioneer Health Center, Medical Executive Committee. Summary of this has been presented to the audience. Also, thank you. A number of physicians, applications were reviewed and they were considered for initial appointment, reappointment, and some for designation. Just want to highlight a couple of them. We have two telemedicine initial appointees from the IVHD. I think that's a great addition to the healthcare medicine. They'll be able to provide us really great asset to have them. It's also reassuring to know that a large number of physicians continue to extend their stay and their appointment, and it's very reassuring from across a number of specialties. And the number of other physicians who are taken over the proctoring with the great enthusiasm of continued use of robotics among all specialties. I think it's in full swing. In fact, they are complete for a slot to do the procedure. So that's reassuring that we are making good use of the technology. And the other issues were also discussed about various policies, review and presenting for acceptance by the board. Also want to highlight one more thing, that item 15 in the last one. There seems to be still a problem with staffing requirement of many support services. One of them is medical imaging, and there's a shortage of technicians, particularly MRI techs and nuclear medicine techs. And so MRI is so often used, CT scanning become like a routine stuff. Now that is being taken over by MRI. I think that's something we need to closer look up how to tackle that issue. So it is my humble request that the recommendations of the MEC meeting be approved. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question, so I just need to mention that one of the technicians left us, right, for the MRI.
We actually like, another one will be retirees.
So do we have that? We need for those positions.
We sit up for those.
Yeah.
And for the cumulative, we with the trauma and mixed in. Provide for. You say offer letters for MRI and we extended.
So you do have an.
It's,
When did we start?
well, it's only about 2-3 weeks. It's really information.
That's a big revenue stream for us, right? Like, it's very popular, we don't want to keep that, be honest. Who's that?
With one of the resignations, it was retiring, we moved one of the per diems to full time. So the offer letter went out to another per diem. The per diem was doing weekends for us to help get those volumes of patients through.
Not only revenue source, I think it's such an important aspect of patient care.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
From physician point of view, it depends on much on MRI.
Yeah.
Although, as a relatively senior physician, I always emphasize that you need to treat the patient, not the X-rays and labs, but still those facilities that we have just.
Also, very
Exactly.
much needed. Yes.
So Doctor, so with regard to the tech positions, how many would be ideal to have? Or it was perfect for me to have it staff, how many people do you need?
I think Carton have a better answer. I don't have actual ratio set. We would like to have at least one first 12 hours. And the 9-10 use of MRI is probably not that great. CT scan, of course, we have around the clock. CT scan, particularly the ER, is extremely busy. So we need the round the clock. MRI probably at least in the daytime, we need one because MRI can be scheduled. So we need to at least one in the daytime, Monday to Friday. So that's it.
What's the typical wait time for somebody who does an MRI to be scheduled? What kind of, how far in advance is that scheduled? Do you typically or is it?
Yeah.
It's just because I don't it's sure. They were watching. So hopefully it's not. Not sure.
Yeah, so our goal, our goal can be within 2 weeks, hopefully.
Hopefully we can get through the cost center as well.
Yeah, we got through on Tuesday morning. All Tuesday afternoon and it was out to 21st. Friends are all voting. For outpatient. We do have to keep openings for inpatient to take them to studios.
There's an emergencies like stroke and all, they get priority, head injury.
They get bumped.
Thank you.
Do I have any other questions for Dr. Nahar? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I still believe we approved the MEC report.
I second.
I have a motion by Berker and a second by Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you so much, Dr. Nahar. Thank you. Move on to item F, appointment of Dr. Michael Kruxick, MD, as Medical Director for Cardiopulmonary Department.
So this one here for the cardiopulmonary department, he's replacing Dr. Tariq. He was a previous medical director, so he'll take his place. We are required by Title 22 to have a director of those services. Do you have any questions about this one?
I do not. Does anybody in the board have questions? If
And
not,
then the next one is also Dr. Kuzik, and he's also replacing Dr. Tariq as the chair of our medicine and medical staff committee.
great. Do you have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motions for item F and G.
And then since I'm already up here, can I present on the panda warmers?
Okay.
That I, which I can't find it. Oh, here it is. So this is for the purchase of 6G healthcare panda warmers. This is for our NICU unit. The total cost of the machines is a $104,418.92. The important thing to note here is that it is grant funded. So earlier in the year, the NICU department was awarded first 5. And part of that is to be able to buy this equipment that will be able to monitor babies and, their hemodynamics and things like that. So we're pretty excited about that. So it won't cost the organization anything to be able to purchase. Is there any questions on this one?
The government grant.
Oh, it was, the people who worked on that were Catalina Holt, who's our cardiopulmonary director, and then Fidelita Cortez, who's the director of NICU and, the pediatrics. And so she's had experience before with grant writing and working with, First 5. So we're pretty excited about it.
I do have one question. What level is our NICU?
Our NICU is level 2. Yeah.
Secondly, intermediate, we just call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess with that, if there aren't any other questions, I would make a motion for us to approve, but Anola has questions on
Oh,
something.
no, I need to abstain from FNG.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess I would make a motion to go ahead and approve items F and G to appoint Dr. Krutzek as medical director for the cardiopulmonary department as the executive committee chair.
Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a motion by Goodsell and a second by Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries with 1 abstention. And then I'll entertain a motion for item I.
I would move to accept the staff recommendation and purchase of the GE Healthcare Panda warmer bed.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Goodsell and a second by Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Move to item H. Authorization to approve Seventh Amendment to the Professional Service Agreement for Rady's Children's Specialist of San Diego.
So this is authorized and approved the seventh amendment for the PSA for rabies. We've had this agreement since 2020. This originally started with our ENT and our cardiology. So in this amendment, we did remove the cardiology service line as they're unable to come down to the valley at this time. So we just left the ENT there. There is an 8% increase in the fee schedule of a difference of about $1,700 annually. Last year, the total, last fiscal year, the total cost was 21,000. They normally do take a few months off. And so it's just one physician that comes once a month for a full day, sees on average 20 to 25 patients. We are discussing for future plans with Brady's to bring telemedicine services to Braymore.
Did you say a full day? Because the contract is for.
2 3 hours, so they'll take a lunch. So they'll come in, they get here about 9, take a lunch, and then they start. It's 6 hours to see patient. So 2 3 hour sessions.
Do you have any other questions?
Do they do any diagnostic testing here at all?
He wants to. He would like to do some scoping, so we did. Different scopes.
Because we have, and they have privileges. So right now it's just patient sessions.
They're now.
So what is this, the plan for scoping?
For scoping, we would have to purchase it and get approval from anesthesia, because currently we don't have the pediatric service line and or
I so move we approve the contract with Rady's.
Do you have a second?
I second.
I have a motion by Burker and a second by Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We'll go to item J. Action to authorize Canon CT replacement.
Okay, so as you guys know, we're replacing our CT, and we have to do some construction. It's outlined in what we anticipated. And so we did get a couple different quotes. We sat down as a committee, principal involved, the new facility director, and this is the vendor that we decided to have more detailed quotes on there and less price with it. Unfortunately, it is not completely budgeted. We thought we'd be able to handle this in-house. So we budgeted capital expense of $100,000. And as you guys see here, it's about $700,000. There's potential that if it's not done, the construction isn't done until next fiscal year. We're okay. We wouldn't expense it until next fiscal year anyways, amortize it for capital. So we should. Would like you guys to approve. We can't install GP without the construction because the connection on it's done.
So when you have items that go that aren't budgeted, do you do like in a budget amendment?
No, for this item, we will go in and see what other capital items we want to purchase into this.
Any other questions?
So what do you have on the capital budget right now? That you're gonna take off? You're gonna take something off? Have you?
We decided we're gonna take off. No, we need to discuss with Chris. This just came across our desk. So I started to look at it. Unfortunately, some of the bigger items, we purchased. Or agreed to purchase, like last one was a big purchase the towers. So there's going to be a lot of little things. We have some ideas that we want to talk to us about that to make sure that those ones we
We can't have a CT sitting there. That's what I have to.
I thought we had talked about at a previous meeting about some of the issues with regard to construction and things like that at the hospital. I guess I would feel more comfortable if Chris was here to ask me questions whether that this construction issue would impact those things we talked about previously, and then how that fits into the budget and how we need to change it, or I mean, because that's, I know it's, I don't think it's high priority, but how much room will we be having waiting?
Genomics to.
It's only good for 30 days.
Yeah. I have to figure out it last.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to review, this staff report, so I'll just say, I guess I'm a little concerned that this potentially, approval of the proposal might not comply with the procurement policy. Because I just haven't had a chance to connect with Carly or Chris about the bidding process. Because there has to be an evaluation and then notice of responsive and responsible bidder, or I'm sorry, lowest and responsible bidder determination usually. Sounds like maybe this was that, but I haven't had an opportunity to confirm. And then I would also just, if the board did want to move on it today, I want to make sure, to review the agreement to ensure prevailing. Because when it comes to installation and construction type work, there has to be language about prevailing wage for public projects, which this would be because it's a hospital project.
Isn't there language in our policy about public works jobs having to go out to solicitation
Yeah,
and like
Right.
a
yeah,
formal
I'm looking at
proposal?
the procurement policy right now, and it's, yeah, I mean, this is, controlled by the Health and Safety Code, the Healthcare District Act, and it's basically work, construction type work, which installation would usually qualify as construction type work over 25K. In an amount over 25K has to be publicly bid.
So I know we got multiple bids. I don't know how that application went out.
Yeah.
I can request Jennifer that extend this offer by 2 days from
Yeah.
September 11th one. Just have to do that.
Yeah, there's language in here too that allows us to make different determinations if time is of the essence or if we needed to, there was an emergency, for example. But otherwise, you do need to publicly bid public works projects and I just can't tell how this was done. Maybe it was done correctly. I just wanted to flag it in case, so that if you want to move on it, I can circle back and make sure all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted.
I would say my biggest heartburn is obviously that, but also like it's not budgeted. And so it's hard to approve something when it's not in the budget and there's no like budget amendment to show the board where you're gonna figure out to place it. And so it's hard to like feel, confident that we have all of what, that it's doable, I guess you could say. And so it almost seems a little premature. I mean, I understand the rush and the need, but also they need to be done correctly.
Oh,
Continue.
He's not because that drawing board.
I'll write this now.
And continue it. Yeah. $702. So how much is the capital budget altogether?
Right.
All right, do I have a motion? Do we need a motion to continue the item?
No, you can table the item and bring it back to the next board meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So now we'll move on to item 10A, management reports, finance.
If you guys want to go to the names of, for the month of July, the loss was 20,300. I do want to point out that we did receive FEMA funds for the month, 715,000. That's from some projects that we had applied for 3 years ago. But the bad part is they also asked us to pay out $1 million of that, so that's why that loss from there, there should be about $360,000 profit. In payment in time for the fund back. I will be appealing that, but I don't know, it appears to respond and say not money back.
What funds did they call back?
So when we applied for FEMA reimbursement was for COVID funds, We have about 5 different projects. This was the largest project, it was $6 million project, and we applied, they gave you 50% of it upfront. After the review, and then when we did the final review, the finished it, they said that they were not too far back down. We owe money back, they're going to give us $8 million instead of all the other projects, they paid us the full amount that we had submitted, so that will be
What project was it for?
just any COVID funds. Mostly it was for our contract labor. Most of the supplies were already reimbursed by the CARES funds, and so anything left over that CARES didn't reimburse, we did not.
Thank you.
So then again, you can see the graph down there that we're going a little bit up from July to June, or June to July. Sorry about that. Just a reminder that that number for June will move as we complete the audit. The next page are patient volumes. They're staying pretty consistent. In June, we had an average daily census of 54, and in July, we had an average daily census of 54 as well. Now, patient days were obviously higher in July than in June because of the days in the month. Most of our census for the whole month were within 10% of the prior month. The only one that we had was a dip in our deliveries, and down by about 13.6% June over July. The grid that you guys see here for the KOI, I'm sorry, I'll type that out next time. That's the key operating indicators that we have listed above. I need to redo that. Your delivery column for some reason isn't picking up the numbers correctly and showing the increase, but it's actually a decrease. All the other things are consistent. The SNF is staying consistent as well. And you can see that there in the blue line that we're just not having the steps that we're used to seeing in the summer. So it's a good thing for us on the revenue. If you want to skip to the page that talks about our expenses, our expenses have actually decreased month over month. Last month, I had explained that June had a lot of increases for some physician incentives that they had for the year, some higher professional fees between legal, audit, and ERG fees hit that. So that number did go down about 400,000 on the expense professional line item. So we are averaging in July about 1.46 million per day versus 1.51 million per day of revenue. So in June, so we're being consistent there. You can see there in the graph, they're not moving like status quo in that sense. You'll see that move a lot more when you come to the our days cash on hand, this one did increase a lot, but incorrectly in a sense. We went up to 89.6, we're at 40.6 days cash on hand. So in the month of July, we received a $5 million check from Noridian. We received PIP payments, I believe in one of the last hospitals to receive it. We get bi-weekly payments for our inpatient Medicare, and it depends on our discharge throughout the year, and they have to estimate it twice a year. If our discharges are higher than what they've been paying us, they then owe us money. If our discharges are lower than what they've been paying us, then we owe them back. The calculation was incorrect. They sent us $5 million. So it should have only gotten $3 million. So we do have to pay back 2.6. We do have that as a liability on the books. But that is why such an increase of our cash happened. And we decided to send this the $5 million instead of $3 million. Our debt service coverage ratio is about 1.73, and we need to keep 1.2 for our debt service coverage ratio.
What are the numbers on days? Sorry, because it just has the graphs. It doesn't have the numbers in here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we put the numbers in the paragraph. I'll make sure we put it in the paragraph that used to be there. So days cash on hand is 89.6.
Cool.
And the debt service coverage ratio on the bottom is 1.7.
I like your graphs, by the way.
I'm going to change some of them up because, like I said, that one is off.
Yeah.
Some changes, but they'll stay like some and some more.
So
For the financials, that's all I have to report. I do have some OVA and, sorry, 1 week before field fact information. It's still preliminary. I went to the District Hospital Leadership Conference last board meeting. That's why I wasn't here. Not conference, it was their board meeting. They gave us some estimates on percentage-wise of what we're going to be losing for our supplemental payments. Everything is based on calendar year 2025. So currently, right now, when we kind of look at the preliminary numbers from 2025 to 2030, we're gonna lose about $10 million in supplemental payments. In 2025, gotta be careful how we say this, there was the district hospital directed payment program did do about 400% payments. So we went from $6 million to $28 million. That is not in our budget yet. So, but it is still money that they are taking from us that was promised to us. So I will keep you guys updated as those numbers change. They do feel like there is a potential of another bill that's gonna come out there and make this. They do say Medicare, we thought, I kind of reported this before, I didn't know if the sequestration was going to be 2 or 4%. And they came back and they said, oh, we think it might be 4%, so making it a total of 6%. But then again, they can change it and they can decide that they are going to cut it and it could only be the 2 or 3%. So we really don't have any answers on that for quite a few months. Same with the dish, it's still about a 60% decrease on that supplemental payment, but they can always change it. The one thing to note with that is the dish this last year, we got about 3.7 million, so we would get about 1.5. We probably will have to pay that back anyways, because the other program went up to 28 million and we have an upper payment limit. We can't receive any more supplemental payments for the dish over our uncompensated care. So still, we're gonna be ahead on that instance. We'll just have to pay back the dish. It's going to be a lot of in and outs that you'll see. We'll receive the money and have a liability until then. I'll take that.
So what's your daily operating expense?
Daily operating expense, I have that written down for a year, like 300 and. I don't have it. I can do the calculation for you real quick. You let me get my calculator out.
So okay, you can get back to me, Doug.
I'll get that for you, and I'll add those daily for revenue and expenses in here, because I like to track it myself, just to see if we're being consistent or not.
Yeah. And does the daily operating expenses, do those fluctuate seasonally too? Kind of like the revenues do as well? Or does the operating expense stay pretty?
Yeah, it fluctuates, because obviously we have to have more staff because we have a higher census, then our expenses goes up.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Then hospital operations with Carol? Or was yours? What's yours? Do you have a report this meeting or was it last meeting? It was last.
I do have a FEMA report. Chris did mention that it wasn't part of last time, so I'm prepared to refer that. It's a TMR report.
Does the board want to hear on this, you know?
Sure. So, this is the August CNO report. I do have the transfers for you, data, and it's from January to June. During that time, we did have a total of 640, transfers. Key points here is, our affiliation with Scripps did end, July 17th, and I know you know that, but as soon as that happened, we started to see where, we started to have issues with them as far as transfers. And so they, at midnight, they started telling us, we're no longer affiliated with you, reach out to UCSD, you're affiliated. So, and, we do have the JPA with UCSD, but it doesn't cover it. So since then, I have met with UCSD to start discussions with them about a better process for transfers and kind of asking for that treatment, that same setup that we have with Scripps to have with UCSD. So things are getting much better as far as with UCSD. There's still some delays, and there's still some requests that they're making that, hey, let's work together. So, but there's improvement there, and so it's going in the right direction.
So how was that communicated by FPMH from the Scripps?
So the,
that particular issue you mentioned?
as far as the affiliation, or just them telling us, you know, we're no longer affiliated?
Right, therefore we can go to talk to them, how do they?
So there's a process in place for a transfer. So when the DR has a patient, they have to transfer, they call the transfer center. And then they work out like, you know, if they're gonna accept, if they have beds, all of that.
For
So-
that oral or written?
So that's oral. And so then when they called and said, hey, we have this patient that we'd like to transfer. We said, you need to call UCSD first. We, you know, we no longer have the affiliation with you, so you need to follow the process everybody else with that. So that's how that happened. However, we did have a last meeting with, Scripps before this, July 17th date, where we discussed that because of the merger and because we were gonna have the JPA with CSD, you know, it didn't make sense for us to continue to be affiliated with them. And so they advised that, you know, it's been wonderful working with you, but now we're afraid that sort of speak. So, they told us they would be giving us a letter where they were going to terminate the affiliation. And so they did give us, I can't remember June exactly how many days. They gave us, you know, send a few weeks, notice that was.
So Carol,
I
I
have-
could, quick question I have, Carol, in terms of transferring patients. If the patients were being transferred or we were asking them for a higher level of care, they had the specialty, that's an untolerable violation.
So we have discussed that with them. And so, and Dr. Nelson was involved right away, and Christie's also informed right away. So those discussions and the EMTALA, you know, concern has been addressed.
And so what was the outcome of the addressing?
So we met with UCSD, I met with, they have a medical, like, he's actually a physician, who is the chief of inpatient services, like throughput. So, and then they have a director of throughput, which she's a registered nurse, and she has like the house supervisors, the transfer team, like all these different areas. And so we met to discuss what the issues are. There has been another case since then where we could have, you know, not necessarily an EMTALA violation after we looked at it, but initially it kind of appeared that way. We sent the information to those two people right away. We reviewed it. They addressed it on their side.
Yeah, you know, I do recall us needing to remove the scripts, but I guess I should have asked a question, you know, is UCSC going to take our transfers? You know, like, full of politics or whatever you want to call it, between scripts and UCSD, because we're referring, and we probably should have made sure that our JPA, first part of our JPA had the UCSC transfer with it, or cap scripts, you know, because I think that in the fall, we're gonna have a problem.
I did ask for that. I did talk to Chris about having something in place, for that. The thing is though, like, it just like Pablo said, if it's something that's considered higher level of care or service that we don't have here, they should take it, and they will. How they get around that is by saying if they don't have the doctor or they don't have, you know, like the bed, and that's kind of how they get around
Yeah,
that.
but I'm talking about patient care, I'm, you know,
Yeah.
I don't wanna get into politics.
Right.
If for specialty care, they should have a schedule, published schedule for the month. And also where the vet placed them, they need to keep track of this day we have a bed, because the Department of Public Health will come back and say, on this day, I want you to release information for me. Who was on call? Did you have a bed? And if you did, and you said no, that's a call violation.
So
I
So
think,
were those issues, like those violations with scripts?
With scripts, I actually spoke to Dr. Andrus, who was the person, who was our affiliation person, to review those. And then Dr. Nelson also, and then shared them, and I shared the information with, Chris as well right away. So, they didn't decline the patient, they just said, now you have to follow the process everyone else follows. You know,
Is there a way we can make sure that we have that in place with UCSD? Is that something? Yeah. We can have, Pablo?
I would, still, we can find a way to memorialize this incident somehow, memorialize everything that took place, the good and the bad in this situation. What I'm concerned about is we're coming up on November. In November, we're gonna get an influx of thousands of people in environments. We have a lot of people coming inside our TMH or even El Centro Regional, and they are gonna have issues with accepting even with patients that are coming from Riverside County, you see what I'm saying? That's gonna be an issue, so.
Can I give you a little bit of reassurance? I don't want to minimize your concern. But we have other facilities that we transfer with, and while this was happening, Desert Regional Medical Center was actually reaching out to me and telling us how much they appreciate, because we've been, so our ER doctors, they don't care if it's UCSD scripts. They want to get the patient to where they're gonna get the help they need and get them there as fast as they can. So because of that, they've been working really well with Desert Regional, because they've been really good about accepting our patients. And while I was on vacation, one of the people over there, their leadership called me and they're like, hey, I just want you guys to know we're here for you. We're happy, to be seeing these patients coming from you, and we'll make sure that we're able to continue to do that. So we don't get as many patients coming to us from Guamas as we used to. When Carly and I were in the ER many years ago, we would double our visits in the ER. We had patients everywhere. He remembers. I was little when he was still there. And
I was old then.
And so it was, patients everywhere. We don't see that as much anymore. And I'll tell you why, because since Reach has been here, they post themselves over there and they take the patient directly to wherever they want to take them for trauma care. And so we don't see, if there's an opportunity, there's an opportunity. For those patients to stay here for us, as long as we have, a trauma and, surgery type of service. But yes, we'll make sure that we work on that process and it's not an issue during the winter.
I would just like to know that there's something in place. There's a plan.
I have asked for that already. And that's all I have. Everything else is there. If you have questions about it, I'm been racking my brain because during the week there was something that was like, oh, I need to make sure I tell the board about this, and it was a nursing thing that I was pretty excited about, and I can't remember what it is. Horrible. Because the staff always wants to be appreciated and recognized. They're always telling us that we don't do that enough. And so I was like, oh, I have this great thing that I want to share and I can't remember. So I failed, but I'll try to do it next time.
Is it the visit that you guys did yesterday with the?
It's another thing. But it wasn't that because it was before then. But I do also want to share that yesterday, all of us have been working with the teams from both sides to kind of integrate and, just get to know everybody and know what the plan is and share the information. And so one of the things that we did yesterday was Eastern C had their, let's see if I get this right, it's their Clinical Services Executive Committee meeting scheduled yesterday, and they invited our team from Pioneers. And so it was a little bit last minute, but they hosted us and they were wonderful. They provided tons of information. They got to highlight all the good stuff that they're doing at ECRMC, the different departments from most areas. And then we also got to introduce our teams and just, kind of, the executive team was there. Pablo talked to them, kind of set the tone for everybody, together we are stronger, type of deal. And then Kimberly at the end also said the same thing. And I think the takeaway was, like that team there, like as leadership, we have to want to move forward and feel good about the change that's happening because there's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen. And so it's pretty positive, and everybody at the end was like, because we all know each other for, we're not strangers to each other. So everybody hugging and talking and laughing and making plans for what we have to do in the next few months. So it's pretty good.
There's probably a lot of people that were little back when we were.
So did I miss it?
No.
Okay.
No, that's exciting. Like I see it as like merging the two healthcare systems together. It's like now we're not, you have the best of the best in the valley all working together. So you have like very strong team.
I've had a couple of conversations with department directors and they've met with that central ones as well, and they're really excited.
And we started touring both facilities. And so we get to come here and have the Starbucks and the good pizza. And then we feel like, oh, we have to do the same over there.
Let's practice on that side of the piece.
Yeah, and then we've had people from ECRMC go over there and just meet everyone and just to reassure everyone, of what's going on and that it's a good thing. And so I think it's gonna be good.
That's awesome.
I have just one real quick question. Just for the record, the report that you're referring to is the one that was actually in our packet at our last meeting
The
for
14th.
the 14th.
Which report did I?
The CNO.
Your CEO report that you were referring
It's in here.
to? Yeah,
It's in here, yeah.
okay, because I'm looking at it from the last meeting.
Right.
Oh,
So
no,
I
this
just-
one's from August and it has data from January to June. And then at the next one, at the next board meeting, I could have, July. I have. August.
Yeah. So it was put in you were gone last meeting and it was put in our agenda packet from last meeting. So it's not in this one, but yeah.
Oh, because Chris had said that, it would be in this one because, since I wasn't there, I was like, oh, then I'm just gonna be there, but I'm not gonna have to. Because I'm like, no, they said you were gonna have to. Because you were.
Okay.
So that's what I thought.
Okay, no worries.
Nobody
told me to put it in.
Pass it around.
Oh, no, that's.
We have it from
We
our
have
last.
it From the last
we-
meeting. I just wanted for the record that what you're referring to is what was in our packet from the August 14th meeting is what you were referring to, because that is your August 2025 report.
We can
So-
blame it on Chris. It's
Yeah.
all Chris's fault.
Well, of course, he's not here, so.
Exactly. That's why it didn't get in the agenda.
Yeah. But the great thing is that at the next meeting, we actually have to refer to the.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. And then Carly Zamora, do you have? I need to change these so it's like right and not just everybody's. But I don't know. Yeah. Tomas, do you have an update on the urgent care?
Speaking on enough. So, just an update, the urgent care, their numbers are down like everybody else during summer. They're seeing 50 a week instead of the numbers they were seeing before. Their break even is 24 patients. So obviously they're focusing on marketing, et cetera. And as far as the operations, that's pretty much it. Dr. Tyson was just concerned, but he sees the numbers are beginning to pick up as they usually do when kids go back to school. So that should normalize pretty quickly, and then winter's coming. And then Chris and I will be bringing some final payments from the constructor and the construction company and the architects probably at the next meeting. That's all.
Perfect. Thank you.
Did you say 50 patients a week?
Yes,
See,
that's what he plans. Yeah, during summer. Yeah,
His break even is 24.
24 per day.
Per day?
Per day.
Oh.
He's saying 50 a
50
day?
per week. He's seeing 50, or he's seeing 50 a week. That's during summer. That's what he claims.
So 10 a day.
Yes.
So I got told I met with two people from Fluxco yesterday and they said that it's hardly open. It doesn't ever look like it's open. I said it could be because the volumes are down, but
Follow up.
perfect.
We need government that doesn't even pay me.
No.
Electricity.
Where is hours of operation?
Yeah, business hours, I believe that they close no later than, I don't know how many days they're really open versus what they advertise. But I know they're supposed to be open through 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Monday through Friday, what time?
I believe it's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Yeah,
Okay, what's his business?
So that might be a reason why we see him 50 weeks.
Yeah,
yes.
and the kids are practicing after hours.
Yeah. Just so you know, when we did the RFP, the public did ask for hours before kids go to school and afterwards. And because that's when they get the rights, right, in Calexico, there's an issue with transportation. And that's what we're supposed to address, the hours before and after when parents come home.
Thank you. No CEO update. Adriana, do you have an update?
Just a brief update. So Doug Habig and I have standing Monday morning meetings to discuss compliance and other issues with regards to both hospitals and best approaches for merging. We had a great contract review meeting last Friday with the contract review working group to go over the entirety of the contracts between the two hospitals and to make sure the counterparts are checking in with each other and selecting one or the other contract. I circulated some proposed language and I understand ECRMC's been using it or something similar on contracts that we have for vendors that, for example, both of us are on the cusp of a 5-year renewal for this software or this license. And so I know some of our folks have been coordinating with ECRMC's folks to make sure, okay, we're gonna do 5 years, you do 1 year, or we do 3 years, or, and make sure we have language in there that says that we get to renegotiate if we merge and, we don't need 2 licenses instead of 1, so that we can achieve the efficiencies contemplated by AB 918. So that's great that it's happening this early on, right, before closing. And we have a follow-up contract review working group meeting next Friday, September 5th. We're gonna keep meeting every 2 weeks until we crank through basically every single contract between both hospitals to make sure we understand what's the outcome, like, are we gonna terminate this one? Are we gonna renew it and keep going for the merged hospital system? Are we gonna combine it? Like, what's the outcome gonna be for each one of the contracts? And then Deb also sent me yesterday a shared services agreement, which hopefully you'll see at the next board meeting, that puts pen to paper on like services that the 2 hospitals plan to share in the meantime before closing. So you can expect that to see on an agenda, hopefully sometime in September. Other than that, nothing else to report.
Awesome. And with that, do we have any items for future agenda anybody would like to put on? If not, then I'll adjourn this meeting at 7:09 p.m. until the next meeting, September 11th. Okay.
Almost got your 1 hour.
Yeah.
I was close. Right.